الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, one of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Huraira radiyallahu an, he once said, Al-qalbu malik wal-a'dha junudu, which means that the heart is the leader and the different other parts of the body are its soldiers. And he went on and he said, فَإِذَا طَابَ الْمَلِكُ طَابَتْ جُنُودُهُ وَإِذَا خَبُثَ الْمَلِكُ خَبُثَتْ جُنُودُهُ. That if the leader is good and fine, then the soldiers will be good and fine. If the leader is righteous, then the soldiers will also be righteous. But if the leader is corrupt, then the soldiers will be corrupt. If the leader is unrighteous, then the soldiers will also be unrighteous. In other words, that if the heart is good, then the body will behave and it will conduct itself in line. But if the heart is spoiled, then the body will also behave or misbehave and will conduct itself in a way that is displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, our hearts are responsible for many actions. Loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, repenting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is another action of the heart. Coming back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Placing our hopes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sincerely coming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Being patient with whatever Allah has put in our lives. Being patient with the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Being patient with the trials that Allah puts in our lives. These are all actions of the heart. Being content with what Allah has given us, what Allah has decreed in our lives. Not only that, but also being at peace in our hearts with whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. These are actions of the heart. Humbling ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Obeying the commands of Allah. Submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are all commands of Allah these are all actions of the heart. Supporting the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Opposing the way of shaitan, or opposing anything that opposes the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of our scholars, Ibn al-Qayyim, he says that the heart in its relationship with the body is like the intention that you make when you do different things. In other words, if your intention is good, then your deeds will be good. Similarly, if your heart is good, then your body will act accordingly. But if the intention is bad, then your body will react accordingly. It will misbehave. It will not conduct itself. It will not conduct itself for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, if your heart is in disorder, then the body will be out of order. Very simple. Brothers and sisters, our hearts are so important when it comes to going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why you find that one of our scholars, Ibn al-Muflih rahimahullah, he says that, Salahul qulub ra'su kulli khair wa fasadul qulub ra'su kulli shar. Ra'su kulli shar, which means that straightening out the hearts, the righteousness of the hearts is the chief of everything good, is the root of everything good. But the spoiling of the hearts is the root of every evil. Brothers and sisters, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as always, help to enrich our faith, enrich our iman, and stay strong and steadfast on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path. Brothers and sisters, thank you so much for listening again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.